In today's engineering drawing lab, we will learn about two commands from Autocad. The first one is array command and the next one is block command. So let's begin. This array command is basically used for creating multiple objects from a single object. Okay? And there are three ways to do it. The first one is rectangular, and the next one is polar, and then path. So what these three things basically means is that, let's start with rectangle array. For example, I have an object like circle. Okay, so I want this circle in multiple rows and columns. For example, in 3 rows and 4 columns. So we can do it manually by drawing 12 circles, but the efficient way is to use this array command. By using this array command, what I can do is we can draw a base object, and that is this circle. From this base object, we can create circles in 3 rows and 4 columns. You can also specify the distance in the objects between these rows or the distance between the objects in these columns. So you can specify both of these distances. Okay, I guess this array object is clear. And let's talk about this polar object. Using this polar array object or array command, we can copy some objects or a specified object in an angular way, in a circular way. For example, this is my reference circle and I have an object like this. I want this object to be placed alongside this circle. So using this array and polar command, we can have objects like this. So here you can specify how many copy of these objects you want. Here there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 objects. You can specify this number. Another thing is, these 7 objects are placed in a shape where the total angle is 360 degree. If you want, you can also specify this angle. This is my base object. If you want this object to be copied in a 180 degree angle, so if this is my base angle, I guess this portion is 180 degree. So it will be copied only up to this region, this 180 degree shape. Okay. Now you earlier have specified that there should be 7 rectangles. There are 4 rectangles, sir. So remaining 3 rectangles will be placed like this. The distances should be equal, and you can also specify the distances in middle. Okay, so I guess the polar command is clear. What you can do is, you can place some object in a circular way or semicircular way. You can specify the angle or number of objects you want. Okay, and the distances between this object. Remember one thing, this is one object and this is another. The distance you will specify, it will always be from either this point to this point. I mean same points, or this point to this point, okay, or this point to this point. So in this array objects, the distance is calculated like this: the distance between the very same points of two objects. Okay. So this is our polar option of our array command. Now let's learn about copying objects alongside a path. Let's say I have a path like this, and an object like this one. So I want to copy this object alongside this path. So you can copy it like this. Okay. So for this, at first you have to select the path, and then at first you have to select the object you want to copy multiple times, and then you have to select the path alongside which you want to copy this object. Okay. In both of these commands, polar and path, there is another option, that is rotate. See this example. This was my base object, and while I was copying this base object alongside this path, this base object has been rotated according to this path. If you want it to rotate, then this rotate option for this array command should be yes. Then the output will be like this. But if you turn off the rotate option, I mean if you select no in rotate option, then the output will be like this. So these original objects will not be rotated. And another thing, in case of polar and path, and that is rows. The row here means different from the rows in rectangle. In this diagram, our row is 1. If you select the row equal to 2, then you will get something like this. And you can also specify the distance between the objects in the same row. Okay? Objects in the same column. Okay. So this is two different things, rotate and rows, that you can also specify while you are using polar or path option in our array command. Now, in 3 of these options, there is another thing, that is associative. After drawing this whole figure, if this associative command is turned on, while you will select one of this object, then this whole thing will be selected, because this is an whole array. But if you select associative and turn it off, then you can select any of this object separately. Can you remember the command we learned about explode? So it is basically that, like that. Okay. Previously you could not select these separate objects, but now you can select this separated one by one rectangles and this path also. This is associative command. This is all about array command. And now we will learn another command, and that is block. This is an object. Block is like copying. Okay, this is an object. I want to copy it multiple times. I can use it using copy command. But why do we need the block command then? The difference is I have copied it multiple times. Block is like creating a template of an object. You can create a template of one object or multiple objects and save it. But the difference with copy is I have created two more instances of this object. Now, if I change it to my original block, the block we have created to draw this object, for example, this is like this, one rectangle and there is a cross. In my original block that I have created in Autocad, if I add a circle here, all these three will be converted or changed. No matter how many blocks or instances we have created from my original block, if I change in my original block, then all the instances of the blocks I have created will automatically be changed. So that is why block is more useful than just copy. Actually, we cannot say it is more useful. This basically depends on the scenario we are facing. Okay. So this is the basic block command. Block is like creating a template of something. You can create as many blocks as you want and save it, and whenever you change the template, then the instances of the template in your AutoCAD, all of them will be changed. This is block command. So now we will see the demonstration in AutoCAD. At first we will learn about our array command, and then after that we will learn about our block command. Okay, let's begin. So I guess you can remember what array command is for. It creates multiple objects from a single object alongside a path or in a rectangular shape or in a circular shape. Okay, let's begin. So this is our object that I want it to be in a rectangular way, like copying it in a rectangular way in rows and columns. So for that, the command is array. Now at first I have to, after typing the array command, I have to select the object. I have selected the object. Now I have to hit enter. Clear? Okay, now the array type I want it to be in is rectangular. Okay, so I have typed rectangular, hit enter with rectangular. So just clicking rectangular, it has given me a rectangular array with default presets. By default, it is 4 columns and 3 rows. From this option, you can change it 5 as you want. This option may look a little bit different from my machine in your machine. Okay, I guess that won't be a bigger issue. You can figure it out. Now there are some options here. The first one is spacing. Okay, the row spacing and the column spacing. So here the column spacing is from this point to this point. You can change it. Okay, this is by default 3.8318 in my case. Let's say we want to change the column spacing. So I have to type COL and hit enter. Okay. If you select column, then it basically means the number of columns. Okay, so by default it is 5. Let's say we make it 4, right? Okay, now after selecting the number of columns, we can specify the distance between the columns. So here the distance is by default 3.8318. Let's make it 4. Okay, and hit enter. It has changed the distance from 3.818 to 4. Okay, now again let's change the distance in rows. So for only changing the distance, you have to select spacing, and if you want to change both the distance and number of rows or columns, then you have to select column or row option. In my case, I want to change only the spacing between the rows. So for this, I am typing S and hit enter. So it is prompting me to specify the distance between columns. Okay, so I want to make the column distance 5. Now I have to enter the row distance. I want to row distance to be 2. Okay, so I have specified the distance and this is my final result. Now one thing is, if you select one item from this whole object, then this whole thing will be selected, because associative is true or associative is yes. Okay, let's make the array associative yes. Okay, now the associative is yes. Now if we select one single object, this whole array is being selected, right? Now let's say make another array and make the associative no. Then let's see what happens. This is my object. Okay, now let's make associative no. Okay, now the associative is set as no. Now look at this. I can select these individual objects. Here associative is set as no, but in this case, if I select one, I have to select all of the objects, because in this case associative is set to yes. Okay, now another thing, whenever you select this array, there is an option to edit source. Let's see what this means. I clicked edit source, then I have to select the items in the array. Okay, now it is showing me a warning. Just okay, hit okay. Okay, this is my source. I want to change it. Let's say I want to make it a rectangle. Now look, all the other elements have also been changed. This is a rectangle and a circle, because I have not erased the previous circle. Now if I erase the previous circle, now it is only rectangle. Do you want to save the changes? If you want to save the changes, this is what it looks. Okay, so this is array command. I guess the rectangular option is array command is clear to you. Okay, now let's learn about the other thing, that is polar option in our array command. Let's say this is our this is a circle and this is a rectangle. I want this rectangle to be placed and copied in such a way so that it is placed alongside the perimeter of or circumference of my circle. How can we do it? We can use our array command. Array command, and then I have to select the object that I want to copy. I don't want to copy the circle, I want to copy the rectangle. Okay, so I have selected my rectangle, and in which type of array I want to copy it? Polar. I want to copy it in an angular way. Okay, polar way. So I select polar. Now you have to select the center point of this circle. One thing, you don't always need to have a circle to copy a object in an angular way. You can select any point as your center point or base point, and in polar array the object will be copied alongside that base point. For the demonstration purpose or ease of demonstration, I am using this circle so that I can demonstrate it properly or it is visibly more clear. Okay, so this is this circle and I want to select this center point so that my object can be copied alongside its perimeter. Okay, look at this. This object has copied alongside its perimeter and the default number of object is 6. You can change it. You can make it 7, 8. Okay, and another thing is degree. Look at this. All the objects have been copied alongside the whole perimeter. If you set it to 180 degree, then it will be copied only alongside the half of the perimeter. If you set it to 90 degree, only 1/4 of the perimeter will be used. Let's set it to 180 degree. Okay, the number of rectangles is same or the number of objects you want to copy is same. Only the degree has been changed. Let's make it 90 degrees. So only 1/4 of the objects will be of the perimeter will be used. Now let's check another thing, that is the orientation of these objects. The objects I have copied, the orientation of them is not same as our original object. It has been rotated up to some extent. Now let's set the degree again to 360. I mean, that looks nicer, I guess. Okay, so I don't want these things to be rotated. I want it to be same as our original object. What we can do is type ROT and then set rotate equal to no. Now look at this. This is exactly copy of our original object and it is not rotated in any way. Another thing, that is row. In our whiteboard demonstration, I have said that row means different in rectangle option and polar or path option. In polar or path option, if you set row equal to 2, let's see what happens. By default row is 1. Let's say row equal to 2. So this is two objects in same column and the distance between them is 2.4. Let's make it 3. Okay, so this is row. You can use as many rows as you want. Okay, and associative means the same thing. There is another thing, that is level. We don't have to use level in this course because all our drawings in 2 dimension. Level means in 3 dimension. Okay, so how many levels? If you select level equal to 3, then this whole thing will be copied in 3 layers. So we don't need level in this course. I guess this polar array is clear to you. Let's erase it and go to our next thing, that is path array. So this is my curve. Okay, this is basically a polyline and this is my object that I want to copy. Okay, alongside this polyline or curve. So at first I have to select the object. This is the object that I have selected. Now I have hit enter. My array type is path and I have selected the curve. Okay, look at this. This has been copied. Okay, so here you can fix the distance between them. For example, if you select the distance between them, automatically the number of rectangles will be changed. Okay, now just like polar array, there is row, you know what row means, and there is align items. Okay, so by default align items is no. If you set it to yes, this is what happens. Okay, this is aligned according to the curve, so this is similar to rotate. So let's make align items to no again. Now if we set row equal to 2, there are 2 rectangles in same column and you can specify the distance between them. Let's make it 3. Okay, so this is basically all about our array command. Now let's go to our next command, and that is block. This option here is our block. So for example, this is a block and I want this to be copied multiple times. Okay, how can I do it? This command, this first icon here, this is for creating a block. Okay, so let's say I selected this and I have to type the name of a block. For example, the name of this block is B. After selecting them, look at this. Here are 3 options: convert to block, retain objects, and delete objects. Okay, so what these 3 options means is, if you select convert to block, then your this diagram here will be converted to a block and a block will be created. And if you select delete objects, then a block will be created, but this diagram on your screen, it will be deleted. Okay, and if you select retain objects, this will not be selected, or this will not become a block, but a similar block will also be created in your block section. The thing on your drawing area, it will be separate items, a rectangle and a circle. It will not be a block, but a similar looking block will be created in your block area. So for the time being, let's use convert to blocks and let's uncheck scale uniformly. Okay, then I have to select the base point. So the base point here is this. Okay, I have selected the base point, and then let's hit create block. And when you will prompt to create block, you will have to select objects. So this is my object and I have selected the object. Now I can create my block. Okay, my block has been created. Look at this section, this block section, there is a item named B and this is block, and my original thing has been converted to a block. Previously it was a rectangle and a circle, but now it has been converted to a block. Okay, now if I insert this thing here and use it as a template, there is an option here, insert block. I hit insert block, then okay. So I have created my block and now I want to insert my block. So for inserting in this block sector, you right click and then select the insert in drawing option. So you can insert anywhere you want. Okay, now you can apply the scaling factor. If it is 1, then it will be same as the original size. Let's set 1. So it is same as the original block size. If you type 1.5, then it will be increased in size. Okay, look at here, there are some insertion options. In this area there are some insertion options. So there is an option called uniform scale. If we uh, unselect uniform scale, then look at this, you can change X, Y and Z scaling. For example, if I set X scaling to 2 and select scale, look at what happens. Now no matter whatever factoring you use, this shape is not as the original, because all the distances in the x coordinate have been increased or multiplied by 2 and y coordinate remains same. But if you select uniform scale, this will not happen. Look at this. The shape is not distorted. Okay, so this is the difference between uniform scale and normal scaling. In normal scaling, you can multiply the distances of any axis, x-axis or y-axis, if you want. But in uniform scaling, the original scaling will be preserved. Okay, so that is block. Now there is an option called edit block. Okay, now let's say I want to edit my B block. So if I edit this block and I convert this to a rectangle, I delete this thing and I have converted this to a rectangle and I save it. Look at what happens. All my previous drawings have been converted to rectangles instead of one rectangle and a circle. This is basically the main uses of block command. So if you change one thing, and all other things will be changed accordingly. So this is all about block and array.